With Hezbollah reeling, Israel's government is emboldened, unleashing furious air assaults on multiple fronts against militias backed by its arch-foe Iran, expanding its reach to Houthi targets in Yemen, where the Israeli military announced it had hit power plants and a port. In Lebanon, health authorities reported dozens of civilian deaths as Israeli warplanes struck what it said were Hezbollah targets in the south, bringing the death toll from the past 2 weeks to over 1,000 killed. The Lebanese government says 1 million people, 1/5 of the population, have now been forced to flee their homes. Our most important demand is shelter for these children, said this displaced father. Israel's assassination of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah is akin to a political and strategic earthquake, says this analyst.
And this earthquake is going to have far-reaching ramifications.
Daniel Sobelman, an Israeli expert on Hezbollah, says he expects Israel will press ahead with even more expansive attacks.
Israel is now in the mood of basically seizing the opportunity to quote-unquote finish the job in Lebanon and whatever remains of Hezbollah.
But if that is Israel's strategy, it could still be high risk. The militant group spent years building up an immense arsenal of rockets, and if Israel opts for even a limited ground invasion, the group says it has thousands of fighters who would oppose it. So while in northern Israeli communities near Lebanon, such as Haifa, there's relief at the country's recent military successes, there's also caution, especially at the main hospital.
We'll show you my department.
Dr. Ayal Braun was part of a team who last week took the unprecedented step of moving everything and everyone 3 floors below ground, creating what he believes is the world's largest underground fortified hospital in a converted parking garage.
Like normal time, we are doing everything, intensive care units, everything that we can do above, we can do here.
Doctors say they can keep caring for patients as long as the fighting above continues, a sense of safety that very few victims of this conflict can count on. Chris Brown, CBC News, Haifa.
Joining us now, senior international correspondent Margaret Evans, who's in Beirut. And Margaret, we just saw how in Israel they're bracing for Hezbollah's response.
That's right, and there's a lot of talk here about that stockpile that Chris mentioned in his reporting, and whether or not Hezbollah will be tempted to use it or lose it, if you like. It's not clear at all how operational Hezbollah is, given the evisceration of its top leadership by Israel. The Israeli military announced today that 20 Hezbollah members died alongside Hassan Nasrallah in that Friday airstrike. And analysts will tell you it's not a decision that would be made in any case without Iran's blessing, and that's unlikely because Hezbollah and that stockpile are there to deter Israeli attacks against Iran and not to invite them.
And Hezbollah has recovered the body of Hassan Nasrallah.
That's right. And of course, that's opened up a lot of speculation about when, how, and if they might be able to have a funeral for Hassan Nasrallah, given the tensions here, and of course, given the ongoing Israeli airstrikes here in Beirut and across Lebanon. The caretaker Lebanese government here has announced 3 days of official mourning for Nasrallah, due to start tomorrow. But they've also been calling for national unity and saying that they're going to put the national Lebanese army more prominently out on the streets. And that's because there are a lot of fears here that the sectarian divisions that are never really very far below the surface in Lebanon could emerge.
Margaret Evans reporting tonight from Beirut.